Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Franchise Interviews, where for over 4 years we've been asking the entrepreneurs who own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson, and if you've ever dreamed about owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. We have a great show today. We're meeting with Robbie Whitten, CEO and President of the Money Mizer franchise opportunity. We're also meeting with Rick Snell and Hank Richards, franchisees to the Money Mizer franchise system. And since founding their first store in 1980, Money Mizer has broken new ground in the pawn industry and developed a unique, high-end store that offers quality new and used products at bargain prices. And that's coming up in segment 2 of Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we got a great show.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com.
Who's helping build America one small business at a time? Franchise Inc., a free consulting service.
For years, Franchise Inc., a national company, has been helping people franchise their business concept and help folks like you own a franchise.
With over 2,500 franchise systems out there, it can be awfully confusing. Don't take chances with your future. At Franchise Inc., we've done the homework for you. We can help match your interest and background with the franchise that's right for you. And we only work with proven franchise systems with a solid reputation and track record of success.
The consultants at Franchise Inc. can help you with your short and long-term wealth strategy.
Give us a call today and we'll send you free our best-selling book, Solving the Puzzle of Owning a Franchise.
Remember, it's not just owning a franchise, but finding the right one for you. Call us at 800-961-0420 for a quick consultation to discuss what's important to you, your business, and your future.
The service is free. The book is free. What do you have to lose? Find the business that's right for you.
Call Franchise Inc. at 800-961-0420. That's Franchise Inc. at 800-961-0420.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where for over 4 years we've been asking the entrepreneurs who own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you've ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. Today's show is being brought to you by Franchise Times Magazine. Franchise Times is the only magazine that targets both franchisors and multi-unit franchisees, and is a must-read for anyone looking to buy a franchise. How you doing today, Don? Welcome back.
I'm doing fine. Week's going well. How about yourself, Marty?
Good. Same here. Saying a little earlier before the show, Don, we got hit with some snow last night, so hopefully this is the last snowfall of the year anyway, for winter. It's been a long winter, and just ready for spring. So
nature is just reminding us that, hey, we're still here. Don't get too comfortable and happy that spring's around the corner just yet.
Exactly. No, it's true. We have some interesting shows coming up, Don. This is one of the things that we've kind of gotten away from, or I've gotten away from on my part, is talking about the shows that we have coming up over the next month or so. Next week, we're meeting with the Yogurtland franchise opportunity. And I know you're familiar with these guys, aren't you?
Yeah, it's a really fast-growing franchise. It's a real popular segment of a food, yogurt, frozen yogurt, that whole category, and that's one of the leaders I'm hearing, in what I'll call that category. So I want to find out what they're all about and how things are going.
Yeah, absolutely. So that should be an interesting one. Tomorrow, Don, we're doing a franchise rewind, just so you know, with a company. I don't think you remember these guys, Badass Coffee. Remember those guys?
Yeah, how can you forget?
Some old shows, and that was an interesting concept. So we're playing that tomorrow on the radio show. So
great.
Our listeners are going to get to hear some of the old shows as well. Here's something interesting. We're going to do a tax show on the 15th. Since doing this show for 4 years now, we've had 4 tax franchises on the show. So in one show, it's going to be a 3-hour segment on. You're going to get to hear from all the different tax franchise opportunities out there. And they're all different. They all have their own, unique little, niche, I guess you could say, in the market, So that's going to be fun. We haven't done one of those 3-hour shows in a long time. So
yes, anybody's thinking of that type of business to go into, and you're looking, so what is there going to be, at least 4 or 5 tax franchises? You can hear their story.
4 of them. Yeah. So that's amazing. So, it's going to be a long show, and it's going to be a fun show, too. I think all of those opportunities I found quite interesting. They were a little different, I think the most recent one we did was Ronnie Deutsch we had on the show, and it's an interesting franchise tax opportunity. April 7th, I know you're familiar with these guys, Body Balance for Performance franchise opportunity. It says effective golf fitness improves your body. Improving your body by lowering your golf fitness handicap improves your golf swing. A better swing leads to more consistency, distance, and lower golf scores. It's amazing how, so many different industries now are franchising their service. But if you can create it into a system or a method of doing things so you can duplicate it, then you could become a franchise, So these guys are pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to having them on the show. And then the following week, legend in franchising, George Nadeff, You Food Grill, and that's a really cool concept.
And he's coming back for a second time, founder of Boston Chicken and several other concepts. He's one of the Hall of Famers. That was a really great show we did. I remember we had a lot of fun on that show, and that was at least 2 or 3 years ago, so it's good to have George back on.
Yeah, 3 years ago, and then we have a bunch of other shows scheduled that we're going to put up on the schedule as well, Don. So a lot going on over the next month and a half.
And I think one thing to mention, Marty, also, a lot of these companies come to us. It's not like we're reaching out. There's times where we'll make a call because I'm, involved in the franchise industry on a daily basis with my finance company. I just speak to a lot of people, like touching base with George Nadeff. We do some financing for them. But, most of these shows we do, these companies are, they're hearing about the growth of and what's happening at franchise interviews, and they're reaching out to us, which is good.
Yeah. No, it is. It is amazing how many calls we get coming in. And unfortunately, we only can do really 50 shows per year. You know what I mean? So we can't have everybody on the show. There's 3,000 franchise systems. And we have to be, not to say selective, but we can only have so many pizza franchises on the show, and so many yogurt franchises, so many senior care franchises. So we try to keep that diversity for our listeners. I think that's important. But yeah, you're right. I haven't really made a call in 4 years for anyone to come on the show. Usually we get the call, except with the exception of Mr. Nadeff. He's one of those people we reached out to, and that was an amazing show, Don. And it's nice to know that our listeners, if you missed the show, you can actually go back to it. It was our 1 year. That was our 1 year anniversary show, wasn't it? I think where we had George on the show, and definitely one of my most favorite guests of all time. You can see why he was so successful. He's got the most amazing personality. Somebody I would definitely like to write a book on. You know, he must have an amazing life,
right?
For many different reasons. So, yeah. So that's what we got coming up, Don. So a lot of exciting things. I know you had a couple of announcements that you wanted to let our audience know about.
Yeah, my wife and I are now pregnant with triplets. Oh, announcements or you mean articles?
You would have dropped, right?
All right, well, a couple of things I found, Marty. Yum Brands makes Fortune Most Admired list. Yum Brands, which is, KFC, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell. It's one of the most popular companies in franchising. Yum Brands has been selected number 44 on Fortune magazine's list of most admired companies. The Louisville-based restaurant company ranked number 2 in the food services category. And guess who's number 1?
Yeah, of course.
They have McDonald's as number 1. The magazine survey asked business people to vote for companies that they admired most from any industry. Yum received high scores for people management, use of corporate assets, financial soundness, long-term investment, and global competitiveness. Its lowest scores came from quality of products and services. Well, it's not like it's a high-end steak restaurant, but I've always been a big fan of their restaurants, so I'm not surprised they're one of the most admired companies.
I'm not either.
And, number 2 in food, and number 1 is a franchise also. So it's interesting.
That's amazing.
Here's from the CourierPress.com. Work for yourself but not by yourself. Franchises offer entrepreneurs a network of supporters and a path to follow that's already been blazed. After years working in the food service business, Mike Haley of Newburgh was ready for something different. I wasn't real happy doing it and wanted to do something that my wife and I can do together. He had experience as a dog trainer, liked the idea of becoming a franchisee because of the built-in network of materials and support. Through online research, and this is interesting, I guess this is a person who initially just went online and started looking at different franchise investments. He found out about Barkbusters, an Australia-based dog training company. He talked to franchisees and met with company executives at the company's headquarters in Denver. I really liked what I saw. I liked what I heard. In 2006, he became a Barkbusters franchisee. They paid an upfront franchise fee, and 10% of their revenue goes back to Barkbusters. That's their royalty fee. One big plus being a franchisee, he said, is being part of a support network. Barkbusters has a franchisee-only website where franchisees can connect with each other. Anytime I have a difficult situation with a dog, there's about 500 people you can reach out to. As franchisees, they're in good company. According to the IFA, we've read these figures before, over 900 franchise businesses operate throughout the country in 2010, and those businesses employ 9.6 million people and generate an economic output of $868 billion. Wow. Simply put, franchising is a system where individuals pay a company for the right to do business under the company's name. A franchise typically pays an initial franchise fee plus ongoing royalties. Owning a franchise allows you to go into business for yourself but not by yourself, says Matt Haller, Director of Communications for the IFA. Franchising is perhaps most strongly associated with fast food restaurants, but franchising setup exist in a wide range of businesses, from hotels to real estate agencies to auto shops, service-based businesses, and even like the show we're having on today, a pawn shop franchise concept. Yeah. But it's not a guarantee of success. We always have to remind people that it's hard work and your chances higher for success, quicker to profitability, but no 100% guarantee. You got to do your homework. You got to listen to this show.
Listen to franchise interviews. Absolutely.
And then here's something, Marty, through Entrepreneur Magazine, the multiple choice. Not every franchisee has what it takes to juggle more than one brand, but those who can reap big rewards. This is by Jason Daly. Opening a single franchise unit is often one of the most challenging and sometimes rewarding things an entrepreneur can do. Opening multiple units of a franchise is for advanced franchisees only. And opening several franchise units across several different brands, that's like earning a doctorate in the Small Business School of Hard Knocks. You can relate to that because You're a multi-degree guy, and this is an interesting article for that advanced franchisee. I believe everybody in franchising, for the most part, should go in thinking big. And whatever franchise you do, you want to open up multiple units, and then have and then have a goal, a long-term goal of maybe even considering opening up multiple units. Hey, maybe you own 4 or 5 tax franchise offices, and maybe you want to get into another brand and open up something else.
It makes
why
sense,
not
Don.
think big?
We spoke about that on the show. It really. It's an amazing concept to think about that. As you were saying, as Michael Gerber says, is to always think big. People don't fail because they think too big. They fail because they think too small. Why not go into multiple brands? We had Service Brands International on the show. Was it 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago?
Right.
And they have this whole family of franchise concepts, and they're, it makes sense, the franchises that they're into. What do they have? Is it they have ducks? I'm trying to think of their different services that they have.
Molly
they have
Maids.
the paint one, of course.
Yeah.
Molly Maids. So why not get into having those different brands, and then from there, as you said, expand on maybe to multiple units.
Right.
It makes a lot of sense because there's a lot of cross-marketing opportunities. You mentioned taxes. It seems like insurance and taxes might have some kind of like relationship
synergy,
there, don't they?
Right.
Yeah. So why not? This is a fascinating topic that we haven't spent enough time talking about. Yeah, this is great.
Or like just co-branding in general. Maybe you own a food franchise. I'm familiar with Kahala, and there's people who own a Blimpie franchise, for example. Maybe they add on a Cold Stone Creamery or a Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory, for example. I mean, that's you either co-brand onto your existing unit or just go into a whole separate location, separate franchise. After a few years, you probably have a good manager or two to keep your existing franchise going and diversify and go into something else. The article goes on, but despite the difficulties of juggling multiple brands, more and more tenacious and highly organized franchisees have decided that multi-concept franchising is the right growth strategy for them. What's more, instead of demanding 100% brand loyalty, some franchisors are beginning to see value in multi-concept franchisees and actively courting them. These days, franchisees who want to go beyond the traditional single owner-operator model have to ask themselves whether multi-concept franchising is the right way forward. Multi-concept franchising is a solution for certain types of franchisors and franchisees, says John Hayes, franchise expert and professor of business and mass communication at Gulf University in Kuwait. Wow, we've had John on the show in the past. Most are happy with one business, and why not? If it's profitable and enjoyable, who needs more? Well, there's always someone who wants more, and multi-concept franchising fills the need.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fascinating concept. I mean, of course, it would be interesting, Don, to see what those challenges are. A multi-concept franchise, right? I mean, again, can you juggle, 2 or 3 different concepts at the same time? I'm sure you can. I mean, if again, it is a system, it can be done, but I'm sure there's, of course, challenges with that, right? I mean, it's much easier to run one single franchise unit if it's like a dry cleaner versus, 3 or 4 other concepts, right? But I mean, it makes so much sense. This is where you truly become a manager,
of working on the business, not in it, yeah.
Sure, absolutely, because you can't.
And it goes on a little bit. What's interesting, the practice of running 2 franchises from 2 different companies was not always accepted. In fact, companies were often afraid of having star franchisees stolen by other companies. In the old days, people were more defensive. People were more defensive about franchisees being poached by other systems, says Lane Fisher, a partner at the franchise law firm Fisher Zucker on the board of the IFA. The world was centered around area development deals and franchisees opening multiple units of the same franchise. But as the economy shrunk, area development came out of vogue, he said, and the big multi-unit operators of other franchise systems became primary prospects for other franchises. So instead of focusing on small mom-and-pop prospects reliant on hard-to-find credit, franchisors began looking at proven franchisees of non-competing systems with deep pockets and access to capital. Demand is still high for those kinds of people, Fisher says. In fact, there's a whole cottage industry that's developed around finding them. They have expansion dollars. That solves a big part of the crisis. So you see what's happening? the problem with people, finding credit, and like any franchise system, I guess I'd rather sell to the right person, someone who's going to open up 3 or 5 than one. It's a faster way for growth. But the problem with the economy and with financing has changed the strategy for franchise systems. And they're going, well, why go after the person who might struggle getting financing opening one? Let's go after a guy who's already, he already accepts franchising, is successful.
Right.
He's probably not going to have to get a loan, and just knows how to run a business and management. And, that's considered like a pretty hot prospect. And I guess that franchise system's okay that they have another franchise. I guess they look at it as a positive, not that, hey, he's taking on too much, too much business, and it has a whole other system. How much he's going to work with our system? But they look at that as a better prospect.
Yeah, he's not dedicating. I could see a franchisor, in the old days anyway, saying, well, he's not going to dedicate enough time to the franchise system. But again, this is somebody who, if somebody's successful in franchising, well, typically they're probably successful in franchising because you go back to the most basic element of the formula is they know how to follow that franchise system.
Right.
So again, because franchising certainly isn't for everyone. You of course want to avoid those people, but if you see that someone has embraced franchising, why not get them as part of your franchise system? And you and I have used the word synergy and things like that, and of course, overcoming the credit obstacle. So why not do something like that? This is an interesting concept.
Yeah. They're looking at these individuals because they can grow the brand faster and their learning curve is shorter. They usually have a higher unit average volume and are a more sophisticated entrepreneur. So there you go, just worded differently on how the franchisor
we have to
feels.
get our hands, we'll have to find out, somehow, if we can get some of these examples on our show, because I think it would be a fascinating topic, because I don't think there's a lot of information out there that I've come across. I mean, you and I have spent a lot of time talking about the benefits of co-branding and things like that. I think we both agree that co-branding is a fantastic concept.
That should be a goal, though, to get let's get a guy on the show who owns 2 or 3 different brands, has been in franchising 10 years. We can definitely get that person on the show, and that'll be the goal for this year. Like the show we're having today, it's a pawn shop franchise, but we'll try to, eventually we'll have shows covering every niche industry in franchising. So we're going to continue to bring new concepts, new or a franchise we haven't had on for a particular industry, and more franchisees. We're having, I think we're having franchisees on today's show, right?
Yeah, we have franchisees on today's show. We have several franchisees on today's show.
Right.
So that's gonna be fantastic. It's Rick Snell and Hank Richards. Who, by the way, I think it looks like they've called in, Don. So those are great articles. Why don't we do this? I know you had a couple others to discuss. We'll put those on the side for next week. We'll take a quick break, and we'll book that as a future show. How does that sound, Don?
Excellent. Good.
Okay. We'll be right back with more franchise interviews. Coming up in segment 2, since founding their first store in 1980, they have broken new ground in the pawn industry and developed a unique, high-end store that offers quality, new, and used products at bargain prices. We're meeting with Robbie Whitten, CEO and President of the Money Mizer franchise opportunity, and also Rick Snell and Hank Richards, franchisees to the Money Mizer franchise. Coming up on Franchise Interviews.
Okay, you've got my attention.
It's a rare event in the world of franchising when an opportunity comes your way that can and will thrive in almost any economic environment. It's here, and its name is Big Mouth Advertising.
Big Mouth.
BMA is a leader in the exciting world of mobile media advertising. Why is mobile media advertising able to defy the economic cycles? The answer is obvious. In times of economic weakness, advertising is crucial for survival as the consumer dollar is scarce and the competition fierce. What is mobile media? It's the newest and fastest growing segment in the advertising world. Mobile media brings the message directly to the consumer. Mobile media goes to the consumer in traffic, where he eats and where he plays. It quite simply cannot be turned off or thrown out. And when you join the Big Mouth team as a franchisee, you are joining the best. The Big Mouth advantage is simple and successful. We invest in a strong infrastructure and in great people. As a franchisee, you have access to this entire system, including telemarketing, sales maximization, general and administrative support, design and creative services, even billing and collection services. All you need is a mobile media vehicle, a driver, and the willingness to create a financially sound and limitless business for yourself. There are no long-term leases to sign, no expensive build-outs, no office personnel to hire. You will be part of the Big Mouth advertising community and share its entire website and reception services, as well as its complete back-office services. This virtual office guarantees you the freedom to close those sales that will make you a success. We are so proud of our successes that we have voluntarily disclosed our revenue statements. Now, how many other franchises are doing that? Even in these historically rough financial times, Big Mouth Advertising has become a dominant force in the mobile media industry. Join the Big Mouth team and take the first step toward financial freedom. Please call Ron at 888-98-GO-BIG. That's 888-98-GO-BIG. Big Mouth! Need a business loan? Talk to Diamond Financial Services, the experts in franchise financing nationwide. Whether you're looking to start a franchise, acquire an existing franchise, or expand your territory through opening new locations, Diamond Financial stands by your side start to finish. From pre-qualification to packaging and presenting your application to securing a financial commitment, and through the loan closing process, Diamond Financial is there. While you're waiting, thousands of others are making their financial dreams come true. Don't wait any longer. Pre-qualify now by completing a confidential, no-obligation financial analysis. Let's face it, traditional banks just aren't in the business of financing small business. At Diamond Financial, we specialize in securing franchise loans from $100,000 to $3 million and equipment leasing up to $150,000. Let us help you get started. Go to www.franchisefunding.net or call 877-508-2274. That's franchisefunding.net, 877-508-2274.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where we're asking the entrepreneurs who own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you've ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. And as we were saying earlier, Don, we have a great show today because we're meeting with Robbie Whitten, CEO and president of the Money Mizer franchise opportunity. We're also meeting with Rick Snell and Hank Richards, franchisees to the Money Mizer franchise system. And since founding their first store in 1980, Money Mizer has broken into new ground in the pawn industry and developed a unique, high-end store that offers quality and new and used products at bargain prices. Hi, Rob. Hi, Rick. Hi, Hank. How you guys doing today? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Marty and Don. This is Rick.
How's everybody doing today?
Just a moment.
Okay. Guys, joining us is my co-host, Don Johnson, and I know, Don, you wanted to say good morning to Rob, who is a CEO of Money Mizer, and Rick and Hank, who are franchisees to the Money Mizer franchise concept.
Yeah, thanks, guys, for coming on. We're really looking forward to hearing the Money Mizer story. I guess, Marty, if we have 5 or more people, this is considered like a party online, right?
It is. It becomes a party line. Well, it's funny. Our very first show, gentlemen, that we did, it was over like 4.5 years ago. I don't know if you remember that one, Don. That was 5. And I think there's only been like 2 or 3 occasions where we've had this many guests on the show at one time. So it's fantastic. It's always fun for us. It always seems to be our most popular shows. So, Rob, I thought I would start off for you, and maybe you can let our guests know where you're calling from today.
I'm calling from Columbus, Georgia.
Okay, great. How's the weather down there today?
Oh, beautiful, and lots of pollen in the air.
There you go. And Rick and Hank, where are you guys located? What part of the country?
Well, we're in Auburn, Alabama, about 35 miles from Robbie.
Okay, great. Okay, good. That's fantastic.
Got a nice Southern show going today.
Yeah, exactly. We're getting hit. We actually got hit hard up here in Pennsylvania last night, and I know Don got hit in New Jersey with snow. So Alabama, Georgia, those places all sound very attractive to go to right now. Rob, I thought I could start off. Yeah, Rob, I thought I could start off with you, Rob, and maybe you could tell us a little bit. I know you have an interesting background. What were you doing before working with the Money Mizer franchise concept?
Well, I've actually been in the pawn shop industry pretty much all of my life since college, which was back in the early 80s. But we've been running, we started in the pawn shop business in 1980. And basically, I don't know if you remember back when the Hunt brothers tried to corner the silver market back in the late 70s, and gold spiked. And we were actually in the gold buying business and ended up with some stuff that was just too neat to scrap or melt down. So, when that kind of died out, somebody just said, "Well, why don't we try the pawn shop business?" And of course, we did, and been here ever since.
What made you think, Robbie? What made you think that this can be a franchise concept?
Well, I'll be honest with you, it really was not. This business has really not been franchisable over the years. One reason, just because you had to basically do an apprenticeship and learn so much about so many different items and how to value items. But then a great thing came along called eBay and Google and the Internet, and so now we can take somebody basically in just a matter of a few weeks of training, and they can value just about any item with those tools.
Yeah, and I think it's great, Rob. I mean, you've been involved in this a long time, and this is the reason we ask, especially when we have someone like yourself on the show, the CEO, it's very important to look to how much experience do, the founders or the people who are running the company, I mean, have they only been doing this a year or so? And you've been doing this quite a long time, which I think says a lot for the franchise system. Rick and Hank, how about you guys? I mean, what were you doing before getting involved with Money Mizer?
Well, we were both in corporate America. Rick was in banking, and I was in human resources, and had long careers with them. And with the economy like it is, and mergers and acquisitions and everything else, we both found ourselves on the outside looking in.
So you guys, because of the Great Recession, you both had jobs. Corporate America lost your jobs, and looking at other alternatives, what else you can do. What attracted you? I guess I'll ask you first, Rick. What attracted you to Money Mizer? How'd you find the company, and what did you like about the type of business?
Well, I looked at other franchises before I talked with Robbie, and as it turned out, I actually knew Robbie personally, and did not know at the time that he was interested in franchising his business. And after one or two quick meetings, I realized it was something that I was very interested in, and with my Hank being in town, I just let him know about it, and he was very interested. And it didn't take us long to realize that what what he had is, was something we would be very interested in.
So his deep Georgia Southern accent, didn't that was okay with you?
Well, actually, I knew him. Like I say, I knew him before all this happened, and just didn't know he was trying to franchise his own business.
How about yourself, Hank? How'd you find Money Mizer?
Well, as Rick indicated, I was in town. We'd had a death in the family, and I was down here for that. And we had both been out of work at the same time. I had also looked at franchise opportunities out in Arizona, which is where my home is. And was tracking down two or three things. And Rick mentioned the pawn shop idea, and it kind of clicked. I mean, it's recession-proof, and in this economy, it's even better for this kind of business because you can provide service that the banks aren't able to do. It gave us an opportunity to get into a business that was a franchise that wasn't a food chain and all those kind of issues. So it just seemed like a good fit and something different.
That's interesting. Recession-proof. I guess in good times or bad times, people are always going to, just have issues with financing, and it's just the way of the world, and I guess there's always a need for your type of business. Robbie, maybe tell us about the Money Mizer franchise system. I mean, for the people listening who are, considering a franchise investment, and, what are the top selling points, and why should someone invest in a Money Mizer?
Well, let me just kind of go back on what you guys were just talking about, like when Hank mentioned the word bank. Of course, everybody knows the banking industry has dramatically changed over the last few years, but a lot of people don't realize that 28% of Americans, which is some 50-plus million people, are unbanked, or I would say underbanked. And as you well know these days, if you don't have pretty good credit, you can't even open a checking account at a bank anymore. And that is a big part of our customer base, and we kind of fill the niche that banks don't do anymore. Banks don't make loans under like $10,000 anymore. It's just not worth their time and effort to do a small loan like that. And that's kind of where we come in, that we fill that niche, as far as our loans, and also on the retail side. And, I don't know if you've ever watched Pawn Stars on TV, but, it's kind of like that, except our stores look a whole lot nicer.
I mean that's an amazing number, Marty. 28% of Americans unbankable. It's kind of a sad statement too. It's just really incredible. This great country, but and I know it's the recession, and it's a whole other conversation how it happened. But that's such a high number. So people have to, people have to pay bills. They have to move on, and that's a big segment, big percentage where Money Mizer can come in and help those type of people. So. Well,
and like I say, it's in our clientele. Usually when somebody thinks of a pawn shop, you think of the old guy with the visor behind the metal cage there. Of course, that's really not the image anymore. And typically 20, 30 years ago, our customers were primarily blue collar type customers as far as the loan counter is concerned. Of course, that's changed. A lot of our customers are white collar now. People in the car business or real estate business that were making good money that just aren't making it anymore, and they're turning to us for help.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, though, Robbie. Yeah, I was just going to say, Marty, about this not being. People think of a pawn shop and just think it's it's seedy. It's always in the worst areas, and who wants to get into that type of business? I mean, I'm just, even myself, thinking that, but it's really not that way anymore. It's really changed tremendously.
Yeah, I mean, granted, there are some stores like that, on the shady side of town kind of thing.
Right.
But all of our stores actually are placed on the good side of town, so to speak, and totally different. Our pawn shops, we have the doctor's wives coming in, shopping and buying jewelry and Rolexes from us, Rolex watches and items like that typically wouldn't frequent, what I'd say a mom and pop type pawn shop. So basically, a dramatic change in the industry and the image.
Yeah,
as well.
No, it's true. Yeah, I was going to say, Rob, has the show Pawn Stars? I mean, has it changed your business? I mean, my father-in-law, who's listening to this show right now, he's a big fan of that show, and I'm just wondering what kind of impact that has had on your industry or even your franchise, because I think it has changed the perception of a pawn shop, and I don't know if you've seen the show, Don, but it's a fascinating show when you get to watch it. Has it had some kind of impact on your industry? It
actually has had a big impact.
I'd imagine.
We have guys bringing their kids in to look at the pawn shop because they saw it on Pawn Stars and want to see what a real pawn shop is.
Exactly.
Actually, I met those guys out in Vegas last year. They're really a great bunch of guys, and that Chum Lee guy, he's really as dumb as he acts on TV.
It's a fantastic show, though. It does really change my perception, of the whole pawn industry, because you think of the old movies or things like that, the old pawn shop, and I think it's done a great thing or a great service for the pawn industry, So,
it has. I tell you, that's one of the hottest shows on TV right now. But
it sure is.
There are a lot of things in that show that aren't like we do it in real life. Of course, we don't always call in the experts on anything.
Sure.
But we do on occasion.
Rick, and then maybe Hank, you can answer. I just wanted to ask you. I mean, obviously, it's an interesting industry, and that's why you went ahead, thought you could make money with this franchise. Any hesitancy, the fact that it is a franchise, and you can't necessarily make kind of decisions on your own. You got to follow the steps in franchising. I mean, you're an owner, but I think you know what I'm speaking about. I guess there's you have to follow the rules of corporate. Was there any hesitancy when you were deciding to invest in the franchise on that?
Not really, and we rely so much on Robbie and his staff because neither Hank nor I had been in this business, and it's been a little over a year now, and we're getting a little independent. We still call them on a weekly basis for advice, but Robbie kind of...
Right, so you saw that as a strength. It's a franchise, and you need help and the support, and that's one of the biggest and best parts about franchise. So that was a big selling point to you, the fact that it is a franchise.
It is, and without their support, you could struggle in this business. You've got to have the backroom support. There's no question about it. Unless you go out and hire somebody that's been in the pawn business for a long time, which we didn't, we kind of went at it on our own with their help. And
how about you, Hank?
Interesting.
Well, Rick pretty much hit it on the head, but the other thing you got to take into consideration, Robbie's been in this business 30-some-odd years, and he's seen just about everything that you can see, but we all learn something new every day. And as something Robbie pointed out earlier, if you aren't pretty savvy with the Internet, eBay, Google, gunbroker, those kind of things, it's very difficult to determine value for certain items and what the trends are and the seasonality of those things. So, yes, you have the umbrella of the franchise. At some point, we might say, well, we could do this on our own, but we wouldn't. We would just do a second store because the support has been tremendous, and we're able to tap into Robbie's experience and get his ideas on things and hopefully not make some mistakes that have been made in the past, which are always costly.
Right.
Yeah. So what's been the most interesting thing that's happened? I guess, Rick and Hank, I'll start with you on this. Since becoming franchisees, anything stand out?
In terms of being franchisees, we're kind of the guinea pig for Robbie, and so this is a learning process for both of us. Robbie's got a lot of experience. He's got 3 stores. This is his first franchise store. We all know that for the franchises to take off, that we have to be successful, and that we work together to make that happen, not only for Robbie but for us as well, because Rick and I have, our entire lives tied into this thing now, and this is our future. And so this is success, no option. So it's a great marriage, so to speak.
It must be interesting on a daily basis. You don't know who's going to walk through the door. I guess that's the excitement of owning a Money Mizer, right, guys?
Absolutely. You see the Pawn Stars, you see the other shows, and we both trained in one of Robbie's stores, me in Phoenix City and Rick in Columbus, and we got some good first-hand OJT doing that. But then when you got into the store by yourself, Murphy's Law says something's going to come in you didn't see during your training period. And you just stand there scratching your head, and we have this kind of inside joke, 1-800-ROBBIE, and what to do with it.
So the whole key when someone comes in, you really want to give them a price pretty quickly. You don't get back to them later the next day. I guess that's the business side that you have to learn, and having access to information online. That's usually the key. You have to really quote that person pretty much right there, right, on anything they bring in.
Well, pretty much that's true. Between the online resources and the resources through Robbie's group, we're able to get a price pretty quickly. And we're getting better at doing that on our own, immediately, because we've seen a lot of things and we know what the market bears and those things and what we can do in terms of a loan or a buy and make them happy, and it makes sense for us as well. There are things, though, however, to where it may be a unique piece or a large diamond or, some upper-end item that may have been worth a lot of money new and still is, but with the economy like it is not bringing what it would have 5 years ago. Also, there's so many things that people have found ways to make excellent knockoffs and copies of items that sometimes you need to take the extra time, get someone to look at it and make sure that it is a genuine item. And we will, in that case, ask Robbie to come up, or we'll take the item down there or send them down there to get Robbie to look at it and give us a second opinion. And people with a high-end item like that, and they know it's genuine, are not opposed to doing that.
Good point, yeah. I guess there's people out there, unfortunately, that will try to sell something that's a knockoff, I guess you got to be real careful.
Well, this is Robbie again. I was going to
go ahead, Robbie.
I was just going to say, basically commenting on what Hank and Rick just said, but when you come into this franchise, it is different. It's not that you've got a book and you learn a certain set of rules and regulations, and you're only dealing with a finite amount of items or menu or whatever it is. You actually, become you have to become knowledgeable as a jeweler, sporting goods, electronics, tools, check cashing, and all the other services that we offer. So, it's a business that, however long you're going to be in this business, you learn every day. So, it's not just something that you can come in and go through 6-8 weeks of training and you're done. So, it's an ongoing process. But you know what? That's the fun part about it.
But one thing I'd like to add to that point, too, Robbie, is that if we did this as a single mom-and-pop type store, which is what we would have been if we decided to jump in this by ourselves, it's a very dangerous decision now that we've seen what's all involved in the process. We also have the ability to consolidate buying through Robbie's other stores and get better pricing on the new items we sell on the retail side of the business that we wouldn't get as a new mom-and-pop operation.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. That's interesting. Rob, Rick, and Hank, we have to take a quick break. Are you guys able to stick around for another segment?
Sure.
That's fantastic. We'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Franchise Interviews. For over 2 years now, Franchise Interviews has been giving you an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship.
Through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising.
And our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisors, franchisees, franchise authors, experts, and attorneys.
And our free franchise newsletter, which is a must-read for anyone looking to buy a franchise.
And don't forget to listen to our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919.
That's 610-905-2919. Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where we're asking the franchipreneurs who own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you've ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. We have a great show today. We're meeting with Robbie Whitten, CEO and president of the Money Mizer franchise opportunity. We're also meeting with Rick Snell and Hank Richards, franchisees to the Money Mizer franchise. And Don, I think you're up.
Yeah, Robbie, I just want to, so our people listening realize, really anybody can own this type of franchise, but is there any type of characteristics that you're going to be looking for in future franchisees?
Well, I'll be honest with you. We're looking for initially. We're really looking for owner-operators as more than investors, and reason being, right. it is more of a hands-on type business, and unlike a fast food restaurant, you actually you build your customer base, and you get to know your customers by on a first name basis, and so we're looking for that type of person. And of course, with the corporate world like it is, there are really a lot of great candidates out there, and
right.
We're looking for somebody that's wanting to do something different. They don't want to be in the food related business or transmission repair, and the good thing about our franchise is it's a Monday through Saturday 9 to 6 job. So basically you can have a life outside of the franchise.
Yeah, which is important.
Right.
Yeah.
How about maybe talk a little bit about training, Robbie, and then maybe Rick and Hank can talk about how that process went.
Well, the training we have at our corporate headquarters, you come in and go through, on average of about 3 weeks of classroom-type training. And, that's where you'll be learning about our franchise system, the operations. You'll be learning about diamonds and gold and all kind of different items, how to tell a real Rolex from a fake Rolex. And then you'll go into one of our operating stores and actually work hands-on on the counter under the tutelage of some of our management that's been with us for 15, 20 plus years. And you'll stay in there approximately 4 to 6 weeks. So the training is a little more intense, but there's a lot to learn in this business.
Right. And how was that process, Rick? I guess you're kind of still going through it, huh? With training.
Absolutely. Every day is a training day for us. I mean, like Hank said earlier, there's certain things that we, especially electronics and stuff, but there's something new every day that even Robbie didn't tell us about, and you just don't know what that thing's going to be every day. And like
right.
Hank said earlier, it's just a phone call away. So I don't know that 10 years from now I will still be in training. So.
And that's great about franchising, as I said earlier, the ongoing support. With this being kind of a newer, I guess a newer concept of franchising, you got a lot of pressure on you, right? Right, Robbie?
No, it's not too bad. It's not too bad, but it is a new. The pawn industry is one of the oldest industries in the world, and we're actually, as far as I know, one of the first, or if not the first, to ever franchise the pawn shop industry. And
wow.
It's not a business you want to jump into, on your own, not knowing what you're doing.
Right.
Right.
But on the other hand, it's a lot of fun. You learn stuff every day, and Hank and Rick have taken in some really neat stuff, that they bought or loaned money on. They had a Auburn University that won the national championship in football this year.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They took in a Auburn national championship football ring in pawn. It's not from this year, actually. Cool. It was from a few years back. But the stuff they get really incredible and unique, and as well as our stores too. The old saying on Pawn Stars, you never know what's coming through the door next.
That's true. Which leads to the next question, Rob. I'll refer to this for Rick and Hank. What is a typical day like as being a franchisee, or is there such a thing as a typical day in your business?
Well, you have to come to the point where you really want to do this and live and breathe it. I mean, like Robbie said, it's a 6-day-a-week operation. Other than the corporate support and all the other things we get from Robbie, at the end of the day, it's our money we're loaning for investment. It's our money we're putting out there to buy items in. So you have to be here to control it. And So it's a fun job. We enjoy coming down here every day, which was not always the case for either of us in corporate America. You have those days where you just didn't want to go. But here, you look forward to every day. You never know what's coming in the door. You have an opportunity to grow the business and meet new people and provide them a service, because in this economy, you know, as we discussed earlier, the banks aren't very helpful in getting loans, and some people don't have checking accounts, and some people don't want to fill out the loan applications and pay a fee for that only to be rejected.
Right.
And they only need $100 for a couple of days or a tank of gas until they do get paid. And so it's a win-win. And you make a lot of friends doing that. And it also makes you humble because you see how quickly things can change.
True. Yeah, that's an interesting point. But the majority of our listeners are aspiring entrepreneurs they're thinking about buying a franchise. What would you say to them, Rick, as far as what kind of advice would you give them in their quest for looking for a franchise?
Well, Hank and I both looked at different options, but this is a unique franchise. We don't make hamburgers and French fries every day. Everything's different, so that I don't think even in a pizza or hamburger business, you're going to get bored with that. I have not been bored one day. I think that's very unique. And there again, with the support that we get from Robbie, I just can't emphasize that enough. I mean, being this type of business, you're going to have some support, and they've been there. And the only regret I have is maybe I didn't do this 5 years ago. I really, and I believe that at the bottom of my heart. My son works for us, and Hank and I are not going to work forever, and we hope to open up another store next year or so and see where it goes.
Do you think about passing it on to your children, gentlemen? Something we were talking. Was it 2 weeks ago, Don? We were talking about that. Some franchisees, they think about passing the business on to their kids or training their kids in the business, which is great experience. Has that been part of your experience as well?
Well, that's an option for us. I mean, like Rick said, his son works here, and he has a future in this business because he's in on the ground floor, and he's having to learn it as we are, and he's obviously much younger. He's got a lot longer career path than we do. As Rick said, too, I mean, he mentioned we'd done this 5 years ago. I wish we'd have done it 10 years ago, and would have several stores running at this point.
Yeah.
One thing I'd like to point out that's a little bit different in this franchise, when you open up a food-related franchise or something like that, people are going to come see you because they're familiar with that brand. When you open up this franchise, until the franchise name gets out there, a lot of people see it as another pawn shop. So there's those tentative days when it's really slow and you're wondering, what am I doing here, And then sooner or later they start trickling in and you do the advertising and the word of mouth gets out. And you really have to earn the business because, it's like any other business. There are other people in town that do the same thing, and you're just going to have to be better at it. And that's why you have to be there daily to make sure that even though you can't make the customer happy all of the time, that they understand why they can't and they don't leave mad.
Yeah, well said. So, Rob, we have about 60 seconds. What's the best way for our listeners to get more information on becoming a franchisee? Are there any websites they can go to? Any phone numbers they can call?
Yes, www.moneymizer, and that's with a Z, .net, moneymizer.net. And we have a website and also have a real nice little DVD infomercial that they can watch direct from the website.
That's fantastic. I want to thank all you gentlemen again, Rob, Rick, and Hank. You guys have been fantastic guests, and we'd love to have you guys come back in the near future.
Will do. Enjoyed it, Marty and Don.
Thanks, gentlemen. Thank you.
Okay,
great show, huh, Don?
Thanks, guys, for coming on. Yeah, I mean, I love this type of stuff. Someone, Robbie's taking the risk to franchise a certain industry that hasn't been done before and feels it could be done now. The timing's right. And, wish him a lot of luck. Seems like they, Rick and Hank are excited about their new investment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's interesting, you know. I mean, the whole, you know, perception of the pawn shop, the old perception of the pawn shop. That show, Don, if you ever get a chance to watch it, Pawn Stars, I mean, it's really fantastic. I think it's changed the whole industry, you know, and it's made it very interesting and exciting. I could see this becoming a very popular industry now, you know, just because of this show. So, really amazing. So that was a fun show. I had a good time.
Yeah.
So for our listeners, go to franchiseinterviews.com. GoFranchise.com, FranchiseFunding.net, Franchise World Radio, and what else am I forgetting, Don?
I think you have it covered, Marty. Great job yourself today.
Very good. Thank you. All right, Don. I'll talk to you next week, my friend. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone, for listening.